Today in this part we will discuss about production. We all know that the existence of human wants is the starting point of all economic activities. To satisfy human wants, we have to consume goods and services. But goods and services cannot be consumed unless they are produced. Right? So, production is an important economic activity. And what is the meaning of production and what are the factors of production? Today we will discuss in this class. Right. Production means making of goods and services for the satisfaction of human wants. So, to satisfy human wants when we make goods and services, that is known as production. When there is a want for a commodity, human wants are there for a particular good or commodity, that good and service must be produced. Right. Production can also be defined as transformation of physical inputs into physical outputs. In other words, it is a process by which inputs are transformed into output. When inputs are transformed into output, by taking some inputs, we take some inputs or raw materials and transform them into output, then that is known as production. For example, in textile industry or in oil industry, you see, inputs are taken, the raw materials are taken, and another good is produced. Right? So, production is the process by which inputs are transformed into outputs. And by whom production process is going up? By who produces goods and services? They are the producers or firms. Next, production excludes all free gifts of nature. Free gifts of nature, they are not included under production. It is because human effort is not necessary to produce or acquire these things. To produce the gifts of nature, no human effort is required. They are already produced by the nature, by God. They are the God's gift. They are the nature's gift. And to get the gifts of nature, as they are free gifts, we do not have to pay any price for them. Right. So, all free gifts of nature or all free goods are excluded from production. Production includes production of both material goods and non-material goods. What are material goods? What do you mean by material goods? Material goods are those goods which can be seen, which can be touched, which have a shape, which can be transferred from one place to another place, right? Books, chairs, tables, television, radios, furnitures, all type of furnitures, buildings, they are material goods. What do you mean by non-material goods? Non-material goods are those goods which cannot be seen, which cannot be touched, which have no shape, right? All type of services, services of a doctor, services of a teacher, service of a lawyer, service of an engineer, they are all non-material goods, right? Then goods and services for which payments are made, they come under production. For example, mother service in a home or work done by a voluntary organization are not included under production. You see, when goods and services are produced, in exchange of them, if we get a payment, then that is included under production. Then only that is included under production. So, for which payments are not made, or for any good or for any service, if we have not to make any payment, we have not to pay a price, then that is not coming under production. Right? Mother service, mother service in a home, that is a free service rendered by her, by the mother. So that is not included under production, but if the services rendered by a mother in a home is rendered by a maid servant, then we have to make a payment to her, and that will be included under production. Right? When we make or manufacture goods to satisfy human wants, when we manufacture goods to satisfy human wants, they possess utility. The utility is created by that. Right? Why we manufacture goods and services? Why we make goods? Because they are demanded by people, they are demanded by human being. Why they are demanded by human being? Because they want to consume them. Why they want to consume them? Because they possess utility. They have the want satisfying capacity, the want satisfying power. Right? So, we make goods or we manufacture goods to satisfy human wants, means it creates utility. Utility is created by them, with them. So, what is the meaning of utility? Utility means want satisfying capacity of a commodity or want satisfying power of a commodity. When a good satisfies human want, we say that it possesses utility. For example, for a non-smoker, cigarette has no utility. Right? Because cigarette does not possess any. Cigarette does not satisfy his want. Cigarette does not possess any utility for him. Then production refers to creation of utility. When anybody asks us that what is production, what is the meaning of production, we can say that it is creation of utility. It is creation of utility. But remember, mere utility creation is not enough. Any activity which creates utility having an exchange value is called production. You see, all the free goods, air, water, sunshine, right? They have want satisfying capacity. They satisfy human wants. They possess utility. They are highly essential. They are highly needed for human being. Without them, man cannot live in the society. Man cannot exist in the society, right? They possess utility, right? But they have no exchange value. They have only use value. They have no exchange value. That's why those free gifts of nature are not calculated or not included under production. You see in the right side picture, the production process in a factory, the laborers are engaged in different production units in a particular industry. Now we will come to the types of utility. So we know that production means creation of utility. But how utility can be created? There are 4 ways by which utility can be created. They are known as form utility, place utility, time utility, and service utility. By changing the shape or size of a good, when utility is created, it is known as form utility. By changing the shape or size of a good, for example, by changing the shape or size of a log of wood, if we make chairs, tables, then they possess one satisfying capacity. Utility is created thereby. That is known as form utility. Then number 2 is place utility. When by changing the place of a good, utility is created, that is known as place utility. By changing the place of a good. For example, when we change the place of a log of wood from the densely forest to a city or to a village or to a town, then it possesses utility. One satisfying power. It has one satisfying power. So, by changing the place of a good, utility can be created. Number 3, time utility. With a change in time, a good possesses utility. For example, The woolen cloth has no utility in summer season, but in winter season it possesses utility. It is required for human beings and it has one satisfying capacity in winter season. So with a change in time, a good possesses utility, that is known as time utility. Then service utility. By providing various services, utility is also created, right? For example, service of a doctor, service of a teacher, service of a lawyer, service of an engineer, they possess utility. When a person becomes ill, he wants a doctor's service. By rendering service to the patient, the doctor's service possesses utility because his wants can be satisfied. Similarly, a teacher service possesses utility for a student because a student wants to get some education and that can be provided only by a teacher. So it is known as service utility. So there are four forms of utility, four types of utility. There are form utility, class utility, time utility and service utility, right? So we know that utility means one satisfying capacity of a commodity and production means creation of utility, and utility can be created in four forms, four ways: by changing the form of a good, by changing the place of a good, by changing the time of a good, and by rendering services. Now we will come to the factors of production. What are the factors of production? You see, production is possible only with the help of factors of production. They are the inputs, they are the factors. And for production of any good, generally four factors are required. They are land, labor, capital and organization. You see below the factors of production: land, capital, labor and entrepreneurs given. What is land? Land includes the gifts of nature or natural resources not created by human effort. They are the gifts of nature. They are not man-made things. They are not created by human effort. They are not created by human labor, right? Then capital. Capital includes the tools, equipments and factories used in production. They are the means of production, capital. Then labor. Labor includes people with all their efforts and abilities, right? Then entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are individuals who start a new business or bring a product to the market. We will briefly discuss about these factors of production now. First, number one, the first factor of production, that is land, right? What do you mean by land? Land means the gifts of nature which are under the ownership and control of human being, right? Land includes all the gifts of nature which are under the ownership and control of human being. Mark, number one, they are the gifts of nature, and number two, they must be under the ownership and control of human being. The surface of soil, forest, fishery, rivers, seas, mountains, mines, etc. are included under land. You see, rivers, seas, mountains, surface of soil, they are the gifts of nature. They are not man-made things, but they are under the ownership and control of human being. Man is its owner. Man is the owner of land and he controls them, right? Now we'll come to characteristics of land. What are the characteristics of land? Number one, it is a free gift of nature. Land is a free gift of nature. It is not man-made, right? It is a gift of nature. Number two, limited in supply. The supply of land is limited. It is fixed. Its supply cannot be increased or reduced by human being, right? Number three, it differs in variety. It differs in quality. It differs in fertility. Some lands are more fertile, some lands are less fertile, right? Some lands are qualitative, some are less qualitative. Then it is immobile. Land is immobile. It cannot be moved from one place to another. It lacks movement. It lacks mobility. Right. Next characteristic is that it is a passive factor of production. It is not an active factor of production. Land is not an active factor of production. Rather than it is a passive factor of production. For production, it needs the help, the assistance of other factors of production like labor. Right. Then land have alternative uses. It has various uses. It has different uses. We can put them in any use. They can be used for cultivation. They can be used for building, construction of building. They can be used for construction of factory. Okay. They can be used for plantation. Right. Then the next characteristic is that it is indestructible. Land is indestructible. It cannot be destroyed by human being. Right. So these are the characteristics or features of land. Then we will go to the second factor of production, that is labor. Any type of physical or mental work for which a payment is made is labor in economics. Any type of physical or mental work, either it might be physical work or mental work, but a payment should be made, then only that sort of work will be treated as labor in economics. Right. So labor includes both physical and mental work. If for any work payment is not made, it is not considered as labor in economics. If payment is not made, if a worker, whether he performs physical work or mental work, but does not get any payment, then that will not be included under labor. That is not known as labor in economics. If for any work payment is not made, it is not considered as labor in economics. Any work done for pleasure is not labor in economics. Out of pleasure, if you do anything, any work, that is not labor. Mother service rendered by voluntary organizations are not labor in economics because they do not get any payment. They do not get any payment, right? So that is not labor in economics. Now we'll come to characteristics of labor. You see, number one, it is a human factor. Labor means they are provided by human beings, right? So it is a human factor. It is an active factor of production. It is not a passive factor of production like land. It can produce anything by itself, even without the support of any other factor of production, right? It can, by itself, a laborer can get or earn an income. Then the third one is it cannot be separated from the laborer. Labor cannot be separated from the laborer. When there is labor, that means laborer is there. When there is laborer, there is labor. Next one is it is highly perishable. Labor is highly perishable. If a day's labor is lost, it is lost forever. It cannot be get back. We cannot get back the labor of a day past. Right. Then laborer sells his labor and not himself. They sell their labor and not themselves. Then there is difference in efficiency. You see, labor differs in efficiency. Some laborers are more efficient and others are less efficient. Right? Those persons, those laborers who are educated, who are skilled, who are trained, they are more efficient than the other workers who are uneducated and untrained. Right? So some laborers are more efficient than others. Then labor is mobile factor of production. It can move from one place to another place. It can move from one unit of industry to another unit of industry. It can move from one industry to another industry. It is mobile. Then laborer has weak bargaining power. Why laborer has weak bargaining power? Because it is highly perishable. They have to do any work. They have to get an income, whether it is low or high. So, laborer has weak bargaining power. Then, another feature is that more wages, less work. We see that the laborers getting more wages, they have to perform less work. Generally, the mental work, laborers performing mental work, they are getting more wages. But they have to work less. So it is all about labor. Then we will go to third factor of production, that is capital. Capitals are man-made factors of production. They are man-made factors of production. They are not the gift of nature. They are not God's gift. Right? Then capital is defined as produced means of production. Remember it. Capital is defined as produced means of production. They are produced by human being. They are the result of past labor. They are the result of human labor. And after producing them, capitals, they are again used as means of production. To increase production, they are used by human being. Right? They are produced by human beings and are used for further production. Capital increases productivity in a country. You see, in a country where the rate of capital formation or the rate of capital accumulation is very high, that country is termed as developed country. So, the development of an economy depends on the rate of capital formation, because capital increases the productivity in that country, and an increase in the productivity means more of goods and services, production of more and more of goods and services, more of GDP, more national income, more per capita income, good standard of living, right? So, capital increases productivity in a country. All type of machines, equipments, raw materials, they are known as capital or physical capital. Machines, they are produced by whom? They are produced by human beings. They are the result of past labor. And right, they are used for further production. So machines, equipments and all raw materials are known as capital or physical capital. But money is known as working capital because during production process it is always required. During the production process we use money to get some inputs required within the working process, within the production process, to make payment for transportation and other things. So money is also required to increase the production. So that is also known as capital, and it is working capital, right? Now we'll come to the characteristics of capital. Number one, capital means they are the man-made factors. They are not gifts of nature. They are not God-made things. They are made by man, made by human beings. They are the result of past human labor. So they are man-made factors of production. Number two, they are mobile and transferable. Right? They are mobile and transferable. They can be transported. They can be moved from one place to another. They can be shifted. Capitals, all the machineries and equipments, they can be shifted or moved from one place to another place. Then they depreciate. When we use capitals in our production process, they depreciate in value. By using again and again in the production process, their value depreciates. So they depreciate. Then the last characteristic is that they are the passive factors of production. Capital is the passive factor of production like land. It is not an active factor of production. Capital cannot produce anything by itself. It needs the help of a man. It needs the help of a laborer, right, to produce anything. So it is a passive factor of production. It is all about capital. Next we will go to organization, the fourth factor of production. Organization is a special form of labor. It is not a general form of labor, rather than it is a special form of labor which is needed to plan a business, to start it in and to run it. You see, before starting a production process or before starting a business, the first work of organizer is to plan the business. What is to be produced, in what quantity it is to be produced, where to be produced, from where to bring the factors of production, what infrastructures are required for the production, right? All these things, how to get finance, what amount is to be invested, that is all about the planning a business. Then after planning a business, the organizer generally starts it and run it. So to plan a business, to start it and to run it is the main work of organization. Then again, who organizes is known as an organizer or an entrepreneur. The work of an organizer is to collect all the factors of production together. He brings all the factors of production together. All the factors of production means all other factors of production like land, labor, capital. They lie in different places. It is the work, it is the duty of the organizer or entrepreneur to bring them together, to collect them, and to give them their own task, to give them their own work, and to pay them the remuneration after the work is over. So, to collect the factors of production, to give them their own task, and to pay them their remuneration after the completion of work is the duty of the organizer. The entrepreneur or the organizer generally bears the risk of the business. What is the risk of the business? You know that the main motive or main objective of the organizer before starting a business or before producing a product is to get a profit, to get a good profit. But there is no surety that he will get a profit. He has to bear the loss of the business also. That is the risk of the business. He must be ready to bear the risk of the business, to bear the loss of the business. When he has to bear the loss? When the demand for his goods falls due to the production of the substitutes, right? Then he has to bear the loss due to low demand. You see in the side diagram, land, labor, capital, it is the function of or duty of the organizer to bring land, labor and capital together, to give them their own task, and after giving them their own task, the output comes and that is sold in the market. When the product or good is sold in the market, only at that time the total production process will be completed, right? So we know from this chapter, from this part, that land, labor, capital and organizations are the four factors of production, and with them we produce goods and services. So what is production? What are the factors of production? We know here. Here you see the diagram. In this picture, factors of production, producing different goods and services. What are the factors of production? Land, labor, capital and organization. They are combined to produce goods and services, right? So in this part we know about we have known or discussed about production and various factors of production. In our next part we will go to scale of production, right? Short run and long run scale or production function, short run production function and long run production function, and concepts relating to the production function, right? Till then, goodbye.